Hey, Dr. Jonny Bloomfield's with us next. Jonny, good morning.
Hey Frank, how are you?
I am good, Jonny. It is a miserable old day and a poor old week, but you always put a spring in steps when you come on here, because we're talking about talking yourself into being happy. This is positive thinking taken to an extreme. Can we do it? Explain the point.
Yeah, so I think I've mentioned to you a few weeks back, we've talked about having the impact of words. We're having a word for the year. A lot of people doing that instead of having a New Year's resolution, and it's kind of like a North Star to point you towards. But words are very, very powerful things. They can actually be used to change the physical structure of our brains. Believe it or not, our cell structure can change as can our neural mapping. This is known as neuroplasticity. So words trigger our thoughts trigger our emotions trigger our physiology, and therefore our behavior. So how we speak to ourselves can really make a difference, actually, to the structure of our brain and to our health outcomes.
So what should we be saying? How do I, on a day where I feel, oh dear, and life's good for me, I don't have many hassles, but how do I talk myself into being happy? Because this is going to be very difficult for some people who maybe have a life that's more challenging than mine or yours.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we all have challenges, that's for sure. But some examples of that, maybe when you catch yourself negatively talking, that's maybe the first thing to do is look out for those. So when you have negative self-talk, like you say things like I'm, or you put yourself in the third person and say, oh, you're no good at doing this. You might as well give up. There's no point in trying. You failed at this again. Or people obviously say much harsher things that we probably can't broadcast on the radio, obviously, Frank. But the first thing is catch yourself doing that, because there is a real risk of how that can cycle or create a habit, an addiction to saying negative talk about yourself. So whenever we say these words, we release dopamine, and dopamine leads to that habit formation. And that becomes a real problem, because if you even just do it a little bit, you trigger this reward pathway, and that makes you addicted to saying this negative self-talk, and this ends up with a never-ending pattern of bullying and hurting yourself. And it also floods the system with stress hormones, which creates a toxic environment for the body, and it harms our health long term. So we want to try and, first of all, catch it. And I know you've been talking a lot about sporting moments today. Think of what how athletes might talk to themselves. There's a good study that showed the differences of different types of self-talk done by athletes, whether it's instructional, motivational, positive, or negative. And this study found that the positive self-talk that athletes were doing was their greatest predictor of being successful. So instead, they might be saying things like, okay, come on, you've got this, you can do this. Or, okay, don't give up. It's hard, but it'll be worth it in the end. Just one more rep. Let's go. Or you might say, okay, come on, keep at this. Keep persevering. You're going to get this. Learn from your mistakes and keep working on new ways to succeed. You've got this. So there's kind of the types of languages that we could do. But there are three very helpful ways beyond just catching yourself talking negatively and trying to prevent that. You can one of the three best ways to talk more positively to yourself is starting off by being more self-compassionate. So people who are more self-compassionate get more things done, and they're able to sustain their work better than those who don't. So that involves being more kind to yourself. So being more understanding, being more nurturing, rather than being harsh and critical and judgmental of yourself. And then next is common humanity. So you realize that you're not the only person who's going through challenges. Everyone's got them. Everyone makes mistakes. Everyone feels down. Everyone feels inadequate sometimes in some way. And then being more mindful, having that state of being non-judgmental, having more conscious awareness about yourself and your situation and your position and your place. And then sort of self-observing yourself, so looking at where you are, what you're doing, how you're interacting with things. So starting off with self-compassion is really, really important, and not enough of us do that. But it's also not about letting yourself off the hook and giving yourself an infinite amount of get-out-of-jail-free cards either. So there's a balance.
Is it also important to surround yourself with people who think like you're trying to get us to think at this present minute? I'm watching Hope Street, which has really grown on me as a TV programme. And there's a character in it who has come over from America. And she's the most negative person. Everything she says is critical of everything around her. And I was just wondering, she's like the drain, because we have that in society, where people talk about the drains and the radiators. People who just, everything they say drains the life out of you. Whereas there are other people who are totally uplifting. I often talk about Deirdre Maguire coming in here. She's a radiator in capital letters. People like that are great to have around you.
Yeah, I think stress is infectious. So whenever you kind of merge into your surroundings and your environment, it shapes you. Trying to spend less time with people who drain you and more time with people who lift you up and be more positive about you. But I think you can also self-reflect on your own positivity. Like journaling is quite good. You could do like a minute or two in the morning and the evening, and just sort of picking out what was positive about myself today. What are things about me, my character, what I did? What have I done in the past that's been really positive, and how does tune into how that makes you feel, and then obviously reframing situations is very helpful as well. So trying to change negative scenarios or situations to being more positive, choosing your words carefully, saying things like "I get to" rather than "I have to," or you say things like "tough situation," you say "yeah, but," and you then look for the positive within that.
Positive self-talk, as they say, like the muscle, as you've suggested. By exercising it, you gain more over time. Jonny, always good getting a lift from you like we do from Deirdre. Thanks for joining us this morning.
Thank you, Frank.
The wisdom of Dr. Jonny Bloomfield from JonnyBloomfield.com here on U105. Are you speaking positively about yourself? Are you speaking positively about those around you? Because seriously, if you are in the vicinity of people or sharing a platform with people or a work group with people who are positive, it makes you feel so much better than those who are forever being negative.